Welcome back to Fox Soul's Black Report. We appreciate you, soulmates, listening in. All right, there are troubling reports of threats against the Manhattan District Attorney and the judge in the Donald Trump case.
That's right. This all comes following Trump's arraignment as police are investigating those threats. A second law enforcement source says that death threats are also being made against the Black District Attorney and his prosecutors. More security has been put in place for Bragg, the prosecutors, and the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse. Here to join us and discuss more about these historic charges is attorney Joy White. Thank you for joining us today, Ms. White.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. So tell us, what do you make of the fact that so many of Trump's legal troubles and concurrent investigations in the headlines appear to be largely driven by Black prosecutors?
Well, I think it's huge. And I think, as we look at this, there is certainly there are a lot of problems, including these recent threats, but I think it's so critical to recognize the historic nature of what's happening right now, that this is the first time in American history where a current or former president has been charged criminally, and the prosecutor is a Black man, and the other individuals that are investigating him are Black prosecutors. And so my view is there's a lot that still needs to be done in terms of racial equity, but it is critical, and I think it can't be overlooked, that it's all Black prosecutors that are pursuing this.
And what is it about the lived experience and legal training of these Black prosecutors that you suspect may have prepared them to meet this historic moment and really just lead the charge to hold Trump accountable?
Well, I think any Black person that has made it to the point where they are an attorney in the U.S., given all the history, they've had to be willing to push the envelope to even be in the room. There's not a single Black attorney in the U.S. that got to this point without being willing to push, to go against the tide, and to really shake things up. That's the history that we have as Black attorneys, Black judges in the U.S. And so I think where other people would be unwilling to do this, I think you have Black attorneys that realize that it's on them to do this if no one else will do it. And they've already had to have a lot of those experiences in their personal life to even get to this point in their career.
Legal and ethics experts, they say that Justice Clarence Thomas, that he broke the law when he failed to report these lavish trips on private jets and a super yacht, all provided by this Texas billionaire. We just reported on this. What say you? What say you as a member of the bar? What do you make of this?
Well, I think once you become a Supreme Court justice and kind of your path to get to that point, I think there's a lot that just us as lay people don't fully understand. And I think that Clarence Thomas is a unique, he's his own person. And, I want to be careful with the kind of things that I say here. But I think that he should be held accountable and hold himself accountable, just like every member of the bar. So there's no, we don't get to this point without, taking a fitness check, and then certainly as a Supreme Court justice. And so I think, he's got to be held accountable and certainly be willing to hold himself accountable as any member of the bar, particularly as a Black man on the Supreme Court.
But is that likely? And if he doesn't do it, who's going to make him do it? Because right now it doesn't seem like there's any interest from the Chief Justice or from Congress, quite frankly, to make Supreme Court Justice Thomas and other Supreme Court justices adhere to the same ethical reporting that other federal judges have to adhere to.
I think when you're talking about Supreme Court justices, particularly because they have tenure throughout their lifetime, I think that just as much as has gone into making the choice to pursue a former president and indict a former president, I think in some ways just as much has to go into making a choice to maybe make an example, even of Justice Thomas. And I think we don't know that that's not happening. So I think as long as it's taken us to bring this forward with Trump, I think there's a lot that has to happen to do something unprecedented against Clarence Thomas in the same way that we're doing. So I think it's hard to know. I hate to say no, it will not happen, because who would have ever thought that you would have Black prosecutors being the first to, file an indictment and charges against the former president. I think in our lifetime, there's probably a lot of people that thought that could never happen, particularly former President Trump. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Well, considering this latest ethical issue combined with the reported involvement of Clarence Thomas's wife in the January 6th insurrection, should Justice Thomas recuse himself from presiding over related cases before the U.S. Supreme Court?
Again, decisions to recuse, especially with Supreme Court justices, are going to be based on, they make those decisions. I would be honored to be a Supreme Court justice, but I am not one currently. And so I honestly don't know what I would do if I was in his position. I believe that I probably would, but I also understand that there are so many things that factor into those choices that I would be amiss to say what needs to happen. I think it's being looked into, and I think the fact that it's being reported on, even that says something. And I think going forward, he will certainly make different choices, probably just based on that. And that may be enough in some ways, that this has been discussed enough that it's an issue that he would be very unlikely to do again without seriously thinking about it.
Before we let you go, tell us something that we don't know. Tell us something that we should keep our eye on as this Trump investigation, these series of investigations led by Black prosecutors, as they continue. What's something that our soulmates should keep our eye on as this continues to progress?
I think, especially with the recent threats against the district attorney, I think paying attention to the ways that we all need to show up to protect them. So I think that's what we should look at. There have been, former President Trump has made racist and reverse racism allegations against other prosecutors, against Fani Willis, against Letitia James. So I think we should pay attention to how, as a community and as a government, we show up to protect them, because they are doing something in bringing these charges against him and pursuing him that is historical. And I think what we want to pay attention to is the way that they are protected and honored as they're doing this work.
Our thanks to Joy White, Atlanta-based attorney, former general counsel for the Morehouse College, and just overall bad system. We appreciate you, and please come on back to Fox Soul's Black Report anytime.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.